Sue, what should I do? I've always been told that if you're diligent, helpful, and you get good results, then you'll be successful. I've taken that to heart, but I feel like I often get overlooked in favor of other colleagues who are louder and better at the office banter. It doesn't seem fair. I think I deserve more recognition.
Probably do. But unless you talk to the people who make decisions about role placement and involving staff, they're not going to know that you feel like that. So really, I would say, have a word with your line manager if you have a regular review, or your team leader. Often empty vessels do make the most noise, and sometimes people are very loud because they want to be noticed. That doesn't mean to say they've got a lot to offer. Whereas you sitting there taking it all and thinking about it, maybe giving an impression to your colleagues that you're not part of the team, but in fact, you're probably going to be a very worthwhile member part of the team when you feel that you have the confidence to speak up. So talk to your line manager about it. Take some notes while all this is going on so that you can share examples. You wouldn't have been recruited into the role if they didn't think you were suitable. So you clearly have the skills. It's how you develop and how you present those skills that I think you probably need some help with.
I saw examples of this myself, that people who didn't, for example, go out to lunch with everybody else, that counted against them in their evaluation. Here we talked about banter, like they were saying, like, you're not a team player. Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, and I think again it's back to what I was just saying. If those in charge of evaluations, if those who have the responsibility for reviewing the skill sets of their staff, if those people are made aware that there's an issue, that it's difficult, that people feel shy, embarrassed, uncomfortable, it's their responsibility to make sure that everybody feels part of the group and encourages them in at times when they perhaps are sitting quietly, not contributing. It should then be that the line manager makes a point of engaging with those people and invites them to make a comment and makes it a bit easier for them. If you don't speak up, then your boss isn't going to know. And that's the hard bit. So if you're still not feeling that you're part of the team, that you've been isolated, speak to your line manager separately, give some examples of when this has happened and say, I need your help to make me feel more part of the team, so that the team then includes me and I get invited to the things that I'm not being invited to at the moment.
I don't feel like I'm getting the backing I deserve from my manager. I work hard to deliver what's required, but there are frequent changes in strategy and tactics that come from the top, meaning from above my manager, which means that I end up doing the same stuff different ways over and over. How can I push back successfully without appearing to be difficult or uncooperative?
I think you'll be pushing back. I think what you'll be doing is trying to make sure that the business moves forward and flows in a way that would induce better relationships inside and outside the organisation. It's difficult for you at your level to know what the plans are higher up. Clearly there are strategies that are being moved about maybe new staff coming into place and changing their ideas or their attitudes. So if you're being asked to do something that you've been asked to do before, make absolutely sure, first of all, that you're being asked to do something that is exactly what you've been asked to do before. It may be slightly different. And if it is exactly the same, speak up and say, look, I have been through this exercise. I'm wondering if what I learned then is going to be useful now, because that'll save us all time. I think just to sitting in a corner and being angry and not speaking up isn't going to help you. And the other issue is that your manager's also having to get used to all these changes in strategies and direction. And if you can speak up and say, look, you may not remember, but we have covered this before, and perhaps, we can look at it now, and then that's that bit done and we can move on to something new. They may be very grateful for that, and it'll give you something else to think about if in fact you do move on to something new. It's about being honest, and it's about clearly wanting to help. I don't think that you should feel that they would think less of you for speaking up. They will think more, because you want everyone to succeed, which will also include you.
I really want to be helpful at work, but I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of. My tasks are often interrupted by requests from other colleagues, which disrupts the flow of my work projects. Also, people seem to think that the things they want done are easy and will just take a few minutes, when in reality, they can set me back by hours. These requests usually come from more senior people, and I'm pretty sure they have no idea how much work I have to do. Still, I feel uncomfortable about saying no because I don't want to get a reputation for being difficult or not being a team player. I worry it could affect my performance reviews in the future.
There are lots of different ways of saying no, and using the word no probably isn't a good idea, but you can come back with other suggestions as to how you could engage and embark on something that you believe is going to take you a long time, and they're under the impression it's going to be a 5-minute wonder. So write it down. Write out a business plan, a small-time project plan that you believe you would have to work through to achieve what they're asking you to achieve. And then when you've got that clearly in your mind and you are absolutely truthful about how long you think it's going to take, say to the person that gives you your tasks, this is going to take me 2 days out of my 5 working days. What would you prefer I give up so that I can focus on this? They may be absolutely amazed. It may never have occurred to them. It's just a throwaway line. And that's what happens when you get into senior management. You're so used to just giving out orders and don't really think enough about the people who are having to undertake what you're asking. So give it some real serious thought, time it, talk to your line manager about that. I would also say you should be quite pleased that they're coming to you to take things on. They clearly believe you've got ability. Otherwise they wouldn't be giving you extra bits and pieces to do. It's part of the working life, really. We have to be very flexible. We have to change our attitudes very quickly. That's the way of business. I think it's something you're going to have to get used to. I wouldn't worry too much about what other people in your team think about you. As long as you know that you're being honest and you're giving a full day's work for a full day's pay, speak to your line manager and say, okay, I've got all this going on. I can't do it all properly. I can do it all, but it won't be thorough. What would you prefer me to focus on, and see what the result is from there?
I wonder if that answer will have changed with time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sue, what should I do? I've got a job interview lined up. I really need this job, but I just don't think I'm the best performer in interviews. How can I get over the nerves so I feel as though I'm better?
Everybody is nervous at interviews. You get used to it, but everybody to start off with in the workplace is nervous. If this is something that's really going to affect your performance at the interview, then there are a few things I think you can do before the actual day itself. One of the things I would suggest you do is get somehow with family or friends, mount a mock interview. So have 2 family members or friends sitting in a room, give them details of the company that you're going to be interviewed by so they have some idea of what the business is all about. But apart from that, I wouldn't engage in any sort of banter so that you're trying really very hard to affect the same relationship as you'll have in an interview. And then come into the room and sit opposite them and let them ask you the questions they think are appropriate. Because it'll give you an opportunity to get that feeling about what it's like to be sitting like a rabbit in the headlamps and having these questions fired at you. I would do a lot of research about the company that you're going to consider joining. And remember, you're considering joining them just as much as they're looking at you. It's got to be a two-way thing. It's your chance to decide if this is in fact a company you want to work for. So research the company, make absolutely sure it's in a industry or area that you really are interested in. Think about some sensible questions that you can ask at your interview, which will show that you've been researching them. On the day itself, I would dress appropriately, no boob tubes or leery shirts, but sensibly. When you come into the room, when you're introduced in the room, greet your interviewees and shake hands if you want to. Ask them if it's all right for you to take your jacket off if you want to. Set yourself a role of being interviewed so that you don't just come in the room and slink down in the chair, but you actually make a bit of an arrival so that they notice who you are. And then when the questions start coming, there's no rush. You can pace the way you answer questions. So listen to the question, think about it, and then give your response. Always, always, always be honest in your responses. I know it's tempting to add a little bit and embellish a little bit. Don't do that. Be honest in your responses. Ask if you don't understand. Ask for more clarification. And right at the end, they are bound to ask you if you have any questions. They should be asking you. If from when that happens, then that's your time to say, oh, I noticed in my research that you employ whatever, or you make whatever product, and I'd like to know a little bit about that. That will tell them that you're not just going for any job. You may be, but the research will tell them that you're showing an interest in their company, and therefore you're going to prove to be somebody of more value to them than somebody who really just wants a job. Good luck.
In an interview, is it a clever question to ask when they say, do you have any questions? Can you ask the question, why do you enjoy working here?
Yes, that's a brilliant question. Like I said to start with, this is a two-way thing. You've got to feel that you're working with people that are right for you, as well as them looking at you to see if you're right for them. That's a brilliant question. So yes, why are you working here? Do you have fun working here? Do you like coming to work every day? I remember once I was interviewing someone who said, what do I have to do to get your job? And it really took me by surprise, but it was a very good question. A very good question. I suppose what I'm saying to you overall is be yourself and be relaxed, and don't allow this very unusual situation to put you on edge. Talk to them with respect like you would other people, and conduct that sort of open conversation. They're going to think a hell of a lot more of you if you conduct yourself like that.
Our previous conversation, you said, I used to enjoy going to work on a Monday, and that's what drove me. Yeah. Okay. So I could ask, do you enjoy coming to work on a Monday?
If you find you're not enjoying going to work on a Monday, or you are on a Sunday night aware that you're not getting excited, then maybe that's not the job for you anymore, because going to work doesn't have to be arduous. It is in lots of ways, but if there's a bit of fun there as well, I know if you're proud of your role, that makes a big difference.
Sue, what should I do? I'm struggling to find work in my field or in another role I'd like to do. I've got relevant qualifications, but little to no experience, and I think it's holding me back. I can't afford to do an internship for free, even if I could find one. How can I improve my chances of finding and getting a start in my industry of choice?
Well, first of all, are you certain it is your industry of choice? And what have you done to ensure that it's your industry of choice? I would suggest that before you even embark on one sole journey into an industry, you do some research about what it will entail to work in that sort of environment. Perhaps approach them and ask if there's somebody in a particular department could give you a few hours just for you to pop in and have a chat, whether you could actually be lucky enough to get a work placement in that organisation. You're not going to get paid for work placements, but it in itself could lead to some opportunities by A, showing how keen you are, and B, giving you the chance to see that this is right for you. There are job centres, there are recruitment agencies, there are lots of outside organisations that should help you get into some sort of conversation with an organisation that you do want to work for. If you're at uni or college, they've got careers departments. The job centre in your area would have a section for young people. Anywhere that actually supports young people looking for work, you should take advantage of, because when you talk to all these different agencies, and don't stick to just one, lots of people have lots of different ideas. And while you're talking to them, it may remind you that there are places you'd forgotten about, hadn't thought of. So look around and see what's available to young people. It's all about reaching out and being honest and saying, look, I'm new, I don't understand, I'm not sure if this is right. Help. People will help you. That's what they're there to do. They all had to learn. And in the same way, we'll recognise that you need some support too. And I suppose the other thing is, you may get an idea in your head that a particular industry is right for you, and you somehow get there and you find a role. But once you're up and running, you actually decide it's not right for you. So don't just carry on, but be brave enough to admit that you've made the wrong choice and go back to the beginning and start again. It's much better to do that in your early days of work than people that I've known who've stuck with it and hated it and never, ever really been happy. Don't do that.
Sue, what should I do? You often hear that when it comes to opportunities, it's not what you know, it's who you know. The thing is, I don't know anyone that can guide me or help me find the type of job I'd like to get. How can I change that and improve my chances of finding the job I want?
It's a matter of being open-minded. In my experience, if somebody out of the blue contacts me or one of my colleagues and says exactly what you've just said to me, that you're a young person interested in my organisation, yeah, everybody is very busy, everybody is pushed, but we would all remember that we had to start somewhere and we found encouragement. We all remember the people that encouraged us on the way up. So I really think that you've got to be brave and take that step and approach the organisation you're interested in, and take advice from people that are working in that environment for that industry. Again, talk to job centres, talk to career development teachers, open up yourself to lots of options and really take advice as to what's best for you. It's a difficult one, that, because you might have to place your whole career at school on making sure that you've got the right qualifications to go into a specific industry, which you then can't break into. So think about something else completely different and take the advice of the people that have walked that path before you.
I hate networking. I know it's useful, but it just gives me the chills. When I've previously tried going to events, I just want to hide in a corner or run away. I don't feel like I have anything interesting to say, and I feel that every conversation is really transactional and is all about, what can you do for me? How can I get over this? Or how else can I make meaningful professional connections?
In the world of work, whatever you care to call it, you do have to network. You can't just sit on your own and expect everything to come to you. You have to engage with your colleagues on a peer level, but equally, you have to engage with people who come in from outside who perhaps have different experience in the same industry. And they're people who, you're right, people do look at those conversations and think, what's in it for me? But actually, there is a lot of in it for you. If you share, if you open up, and if you allow yourself to develop that skill of approaching people with a positive attitude, with an open attitude, and say, I'd like to hear more about you. Can you tell me how you got to where you are? Can you tell me what you enjoy most about your role? What satisfaction does it give you? You've only got to ask one or two questions, and you'll find that the person you're talking to will be only too pleased to open up and talk to you. Equally, they may be as shy as you are, and would be really, really genuinely pleased that someone's approaching them. The two of you, between you both, can effect a really worthwhile, effective conversation. It's something you are going to have to develop, because nobody is in work to make friends, to socialize. That does come as part of it, but the main thrust of being at work is making sure you're worthy of your hire and you're doing your job to your best ability. And you're only going to learn how to improve your skills and your tasking by seeing how other people do it and being open about the fact that you're wanting to learn from them. It's about being positive and honest and open. Very easy to stand in the corner. Nobody will come up to you and you're going to be the one that loses out. So there would be brilliant opportunities if you can steel yourself and do it. And once you've done it a few times, it does get easier and easier. So good luck with that.
I really like to focus when I'm working and not be interrupted. A couple of times, colleagues have asked me if I'm okay because I've been so quiet. I think they thought I was upset. That is not the case, and I don't want people at work to think I'm miserable. How can I change that perception without altering the way that I am? I can't be someone I'm not.
And you shouldn't try and alter the way you are. You must be the person that you are. But if you are aware that you're giving the impression that you're miserable and not enjoying life very much, then do something about that. Why not, for example, in a group, approach your peers in your working group and say, I'd like to go out on a social activity. Let's all go bowling next Thursday. Who would like to join me? What about trying to start up a newsletter with your group and including people in that, so that, yes, you must be able to carry on and be yourself. You can't be somebody that you're not. But if you open up on the social side and you get to know people in that way, they will come to appreciate that this is who you are. This is what makes you tick. But I also think you should involve your line manager in this decision, because they need to know that you're feeling like that. They need to know that your quality of life is being threatened in a way because you're feeling you can't be yourself, and that's not healthy. Tell them that this is how you're feeling, but this is what you're planning to do to make things a bit easier and a bit better, and ask for their support. And I bet if that happens, the problem will go away. It might take a bit of time, but I think if you engage with your colleagues in the way that I've suggested, I think the problem will go.
Is it just me that thinks we have too many meetings? We seem to have meetings about meetings. Meetings seem to be wasted on chit-chat at the start of every single one, and it's often not clear to me what the outcomes of some meetings actually are. How can I run better meetings? How can I encourage colleagues to run more productive meetings? And how can I suggest that we reduce the number of meetings so that our workflow is less disrupted? I don't want to cause an issue, but sometimes it's just ridiculous.
Totally agree. Meetings for meeting's sake, it's so frustrating, such a waste of everyone's time. I think I've got to answer your question in two ways. A, if you're actually a manager who is calling these meetings, there is a much clearer defined way of doing that, which would be to produce an agenda before the meeting, which could be circulated before the meeting, but it would raise points that colleagues need to discuss at a particular meeting. And so I would circulate a format to my colleagues and say, what is it you want to add? What is it you think we need to discuss next time? So I'd make sure that the planned meeting covered specific topics. I'd have somebody, still being the manager, I would have somebody taking, I wouldn't call them minutes, but notes of the meeting. And in those notes would highlight the action points that we had agreed. So Johnny will go off and find out about this and come back next time and give us the results. And Nellie will look into some research and make it clear in the notes that who's doing what and when it's expected to be done by. And then circulate those notes after the meeting so that everybody is clear of what was discussed and what the objectives were from that meeting and what the next meeting should therefore look at. I think in that way you tend to tighten things up a bit, and really have a realistic reason for holding a meeting. Now, if you're somebody involved in attending these meetings and you're getting frustrated because you don't see the point in the objectives, I would speak to your line manager or the person that's coordinating these meetings and suggest that you took it upon yourself to be the person that produces the agenda. You could take it in turns around the group, but in the first instance, you could suggest that you're the person that oversees and coordinates an agenda and perhaps was the person that takes the notes, and give your reasons why you think that's necessary. That it's a waste of time when you just sit there and don't achieve anything. The chit-chat bit, I think, is also something you should be taking on board. People do go to work to socialise, and if this is the only time that they're all getting together as a group and they're not really being held to account as to what the specific topic should be discussed at that moment, they will waffle off into chit-chat. So why not put a social element into your team? And if you're a member of the team or you're the line manager, suggest an outing, suggest a social aspect, something that you could all join in and do your chit-chat then, so that time spent together in the office is purely then seen as needing to deal with the needs of the business rather than getting to know each other's social chit-chat.
I'm sure you've heard this kind of question before. I'm terrified of giving presentations. I know my stuff and I'm good at what I do, but the thought of standing up in front of people makes me freeze. I don't give the best impression of myself, and I want to improve that.
I hate it. I do it. I really don't like it. I feel my heart races. I feel my mouth dries up. I really, really don't like doing it, but I do it. And this is how I achieve what I need to achieve. I make absolutely sure that I know my subject matter. I'm absolutely sure about what I'm going to be talking about. I even keep some cards which I can glance down at, not read from, but glance down as prompts if I'm needing to be reminded about something important I want to say. I focus on a few faces in the audience. No, not people that I know, but just the same faces. So I might look at 3 people on my left for something and 3 people on my right for something. But I make sure that I focus on those faces so that I'm not just waffling around and giving the impression that I'm lost. Or you might want to look at the clock on the wall at the back of the room and focus on that. There are some amazing public speaking courses that you can undertake, and I did one of those. And one of the things I came away from learning through being on a course was how, when you speak, the first thing you do when you're nervous is you race. You just want to get it over with. So you speak very fast and you gabble and you lose your audience because they can't keep up with you. So they taught us to speak to your audience as if you were speaking to a child. So you undulate your voice and you talk in quite short sentences and you make sure that you breathe. And in that way, you keep your audience with you, but you also keep your confidence that things are going well and you're not losing your way. And if you do lose your way, say so. I'm really sorry. I just had to have a quick look at my notes because I need to see what I wanted to tell you. It's horrible and it's frightening. And some people take to it like a duck to water. Other people really, really struggle. Here I am in my 70s and I still really, really struggle. My husband can stand up in front of 2,500 people and you never know the difference between him talking to me and talking to them. He's just got a skill, but he's acquired that skill by doing what he does. And people might be saying the same about me. I might be giving the impression that I'm really, really good at it. I know I'm not. I know how I feel. But you do have to learn that skill in the world of work, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's giving a presentation as a salesperson. There will be times when you're going to have to speak up and speak. So make sure of your subject matter. Make sure that you breathe. And like I say, pretend you're talking to a child and undulate your voice a little bit more.
I have regular one-to-one meetings with my line manager. We get on fine, but I still get so nervous before each one-to-one chat that I feel like I'm justifying myself and my job every single time. I really don't think that's the case, but I'm concerned it's harming my credibility. I get a bit tongue-tied and my mind sometimes goes blank. I want to be calmer, more controlled and professional because I think it'll make me look more competent, encourage my manager to be more confident in me, and it will ultimately be good for my career progression.
Do you know that your line manager isn't confident in you? This is all in your head. And the fact that you're meeting regularly and you have the opportunity to discuss your role and his role, her role, is important. I wouldn't worry too much about what they think about you. I would be more concerned that you're using those opportunities to share what's stopping you making your job more effective than you currently believe it is. So ask your manager if there's anything else you can do that gives him or her the impression, if indeed they have that impression, that you need to be more effective. I think you might be quite surprised when you ask. You might hear that they're really very pleased with you. But if they're not, then that would be their time to share that with you. Don't hesitate to open up and say, look, I want to do better. I don't think I'm doing as well as I could. Are there ways that you can help me? Your line manager went through it when they were new, and that's what they're there for. So use them. And use that experience to ensure that you're doing as well as you can. And don't be surprised if they say, well, actually, we're fine. There isn't an issue. That will really boost your self-confidence. So it's always my mantra to everybody is be honest and truthful. That's the only way people are going to be able to help you if they really know what's going on.
My team lead drives us crazy. He doesn't trust us, he's hypercritical, he constantly interferes, and he asks us for updates all the time. It's counterproductive and it detrimentally affects my confidence. If he'd just let us get on with our work, I'm sure we'd get more done. I think he might get angry if I told him this, but how can I get him to ease up?
What I would do, first of all, I think you have to accept that your team leader has that position of seniority and has a responsibility for the effective working of your group. And if you really feel that they've lost the plot and that they're asking too much and too often and it's stopping you doing what you need to be doing, keep a diary. Keep a diary of each time a question comes to you and keep in that diary, make a note of how long it takes you to resolve what it is they're asking you to do. And I guess that over a period of time, you'll see repetition and you'll be able to measure how much time you're spending on tasks which you believe are counterproductive, but he may not. Equally, he may not have any idea that he's putting you in this position. So keep a diary with the questions he's asking you to do, the time it's taking you to achieve them, and then ask for a meeting and initiate conversation in that meeting by saying, I've been feeling for a long time that I'm being asked to do things that perhaps I've already been asked to do, or you've forgotten that you've asked me. So I've made up a diary just to give you some examples of what I'm talking about. I really think that I want to work with you and make sure that the time that I have got to support you is the most effective way of using it. And can we talk about the priority of my tasks and how long you think I should be spending on each one? Don't be aggressive. Don't be unpleasant. Sell it to that person that you want to help them And perhaps they're being so pushed and so stressed that they can't see the wood for the trees. So what you're trying to do is help them see a clearer way through, not just on your behalf, but on your colleagues' behalf as well, because they're possibly feeling just like you are. And maybe if you have that sort of relationship with your colleagues, do this as a group. I would go to him initially on a one-to-one, but suggest at that same time that maybe he or she would like to talk to the group and see if the other people feel like you do. Be mindful that it is a form of criticism that you're going to be laying at his or her feet. So be kind and be open and really give the impression that you're trying to help the business succeed and him in turn in his role. And that as a team, there's more you think you can do to help him achieve that.
My boss has a very hands-off approach to managing the team and gives rather vague instructions or feedback. For me, this is great when I know what I'm doing, but sometimes I'm not clear about what he wants and it feels very awkward.
Well, I think you're very lucky, actually, to have a line manager that trusts you to the extent that he or she leaves you alone to get on with what it is you need to do. But they are your line manager and they do have a responsibility and a duty of care to you. So if you're faced with something that you're not clear about, you must ask them. You must be honest and say, perfectly happy with 75% of what I'm doing. I know that you know what I'm doing and you're happy with it, but this 25% I'm not so sure. Can we just go through that and clarify it so that I'm sure that I'm doing what you want me to do? I actually think you're in a very good place, because if your line manager is that confident in you that they're leaving you alone to make your own decisions and run so much of your role on your own, I think that shows that they've got great confidence in you, and I wouldn't be ungrateful for that. But nonetheless, no one knows everything about everything, and that's what your line manager is there for, to clarify the areas that you don't know and make sure you're doing it the way he or she wants.
I like my new co-workers. I'd like to get to know them a bit more and have more relaxed conversations with them about topics other than work, but I don't want to offend anyone or overstep the mark by asking things that might seem too personal or insensitive. In the company, there are people from different parts of the world, different ethnicities and different religions. How do I break the ice without being intrusive or offensive?
I think that's a lovely idea. I think that's a really kind thought. But we can tread on people's toes purely innocently. And I think you're absolutely right to show that you want to be wary of not upsetting people or being intrusive. We've all got a lot to learn from each other. We all come from different cultures. We all have different backgrounds and various differences in the way we live our lives. So I would suggest, again, I would say with the blessing of your line manager or HR, I would introduce some social aspect to your group of workers. Somewhere where you can go and be yourselves and learn a bit more about each other, always bearing in mind that some people won't drink and some people don't want to go out on a Friday night. With the blessing of your management, I would initiate that by sending an email to people saying, I think it would be lovely if we all got together at a social level. How do you think that would be? Would you like to get back to me with some ideas of what you'd like to do? Would it be bowling one evening or going to the pub, and see what responses you get, and then arrange some sort of social event taking into account all their concerns and take it from there. And it wouldn't have to be you that always is responsible for this. You could get other people in your group to take it on board and arrange subsequent social events. I think it'd be a really lovely way of you getting to know each other's ways of life that you wouldn't pick up in work, and it will strengthen your relationships in work and make you feel you know each other a bit better. I think it's a lovely idea, and I think you should do it straight away.
I get quite stressed by the volume of emails, instant messages and WhatsApps I receive from my company's clients after hours, at weekends and on holiday. I'm concerned that if I don't respond quickly, they will complain, and this will harm my performance review. I feel like I work hard and provide value, but in my non-work time, I have family, community, and personal commitments that are important to me. These work communications are affecting the quality of that personal time. I want to set boundaries without looking lazy.
You have an absolute right for a good work-life balance. Everybody that goes to work for a reason, but we've all got private commitments outside the world of work, which we also have to give our time to. If you're finding that people are taking advantage of your good nature and you also have to take responsibility for this, if you find that people are taking advantage of a good nature and you're getting emails during your private time, then there's two things you can do. You can either respond to them, which gives them the impression that it's all right to carry on at that level engaging with you, or you can very politely go back to them and say, I'm only at work from Monday 9 till 5 and it's 3:30 on a Saturday afternoon. Would you mind if I left this response till Monday morning? Now, that's fine if you're on a peer level with the person that you're emailing. But if you're getting these requests from senior personnel who will probably expect you to respond straight away, then this becomes a matter for HR or your line manager because they're impinging your private time and you're entitled to have that time for yourself. So I would start keeping a diary. I wouldn't not respond yet, but I would start keeping a diary of the times and the requests that you're getting out of your established work hours. And I would then go to your line manager with this diary, keep it for maybe 2 weeks if you think that's going to cover enough examples, and say, I don't want you to misunderstand me. I love my job. I'm very happy to do my job. But I think that this is getting out of hand and it's eating into my private time, which is the time I need to refresh my batteries and look at my life and make sure that I've got everything in the right proportion. And this is taking it over and I'm not happy about that. So do that exercise, get the information for someone who can make a decision. And then with their blessing, I would then issue a round robin email to the people that are actually the most guilty of this and say, I just want to remind you that I'm only in work from Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. Very, very happy if something comes up that's absolutely urgent and it's only me that can help you with it outside of those hours. But otherwise, I would like you to respect my private time and just keep your communications within workplace hours.
My work environment is quite social and spontaneous. After-work get-togethers are quite common, but they tend to revolve around drinking and eating. I don't drink, and I have some specific dietary requirements, so I often decline to attend because I feel awkward. I'm worried about the impression that this gives to my colleagues, but I don't want to feel compelled to do things that make me feel uncomfortable, just to get ahead.
And you shouldn't feel uncomfortable. Nobody should feel uncomfortable at work. So why not take it upon yourself one time to be the person that does the inviting, to suggest somewhere where you know you would be able to eat, perhaps somewhere where you can have an orange juice if you don't want to drink, and invite your colleagues to come there. I think what I'm feeling is that you've got an opportunity here, as have your colleagues, to get to know more about your cultural backgrounds and the differences that you perhaps live your lives, which people don't know about at work. They only see you at work. They don't know what goes on at home. So you've got a chance here to take the bull by the horns, suggest somewhere where you're comfortable and invite them all to join you there. And maybe that will set a precedent around your group, and other people next time might think of somewhere that appeals to them more. And then, if it's somewhere that you don't want to go, or you're not going to feel comfortable, you're perfectly entitled to say so. But you can also explain during your event why this works for you so that they understand a bit more about what you need. And maybe then they'll be able to provide it without you feeling uncomfortable.
We have a new boss and she is a bully, but a clever and subtle one. She doesn't do anything overtly nasty, but she regularly criticizes me and undermines my output and contribution to the team's efforts. She insinuates that my knowledge, skills, and commitment are unacceptably poor. I've never experienced this before, and I feel it's unjustified. It's affecting the quality of my work, it's damaging my confidence and my self-esteem. I don't think I'm the only one who feels this way, but I can't be sure. I'm frightened to ask colleagues as I don't want to seem like a troublemaker.
From your description, I would say that your boss is insecure and unsure of themselves because the way she's behaving and the way she's trying to force her responsibilities on all of you without really understanding the damage that she's doing needs to be addressed. But you do have to be quite subtle about this because you don't want to be viewed as a troublemaker, as you say. And I would be very wary at this stage of involving your colleagues because you just do not know whether they're going to support you in what I think you need to do. So it's back to keeping notes, and it's back to keeping a note of how long each of these tasks that she charges you with take you. And I suppose when you've got a reasonable amount of examples to give her, ask for a meeting and actually explain, as you just have to me, how this makes you feel. She may not be aware of it. She may simply not have, she may be so under pressure and so pushed from her management that she may not even realize that she's behaving like this towards you. And she may be very upset when she hears how it's bothering you. What is clear is your work and your work-life balance shouldn't be impacted by somebody putting you under this sort of pressure. That's not what she should be doing, and that's not right. So in the kindest way, and I wouldn't be at all, a little bit assertive, but not aggressive, ask for a meeting and say, look, I just want to bring to your attention that you've asked me to do all these things in the last 10 days. I'm not sure if you realize that this is pulling me away from other things that I think you need me to be doing. Perhaps we need to be looking at my whole work program and reassessing exactly what it is you want me to do. I need to tell you that I need a certain amount of notice before I embark on something new, because I'm a person that likes finishing things. And if I can't finish a current task, that's going to make me feel a bit unproductive. So can we talk through how I like to work? I want to do what you want me to do, but you need to understand how I need to achieve that for you. Then, if she's amenable to that, you might then mention, perhaps we could have a meeting with the group, because there may be other people in the group who feel like I do. She may say yes, she may say no, but at least you'll take your concerns seriously. If after all that, nothing changes, then I'm afraid you've got to go to HR. You will have evidence of what you're talking about. Then you need to raise it as an issue with HR and take their advice as to what the next step should be.
I'm new in a job, my first job, and I feel like an idiot. It seems as though everybody knows what they're talking about, and I don't. Everyone talks in technical terms and acronyms that I don't understand. I'm too embarrassed to ask or to say anything because I'm worried that I'll look like a fool.
The only silly question is the one you don't ask. Everybody in your group started like you. They didn't know what the acronyms meant. They didn't know the business procedures that you're now hearing. And you really need to summon up the courage to say, I am new. I haven't really understood what you've just spoken about. Could you please explain it to me a bit more simply? You only have to do that a few times and people will listen to you, and perhaps next time they're going to embark on a subject will do it in a way with you in mind that it needs to be a bit more simple. You won't look like a fool. Everybody was in the same position as you. And I think it's more foolish if you don't ask the question, because how can you embark on a task or a role if you honestly don't know what it is you're being asked to do because you don't understand it? So no, it isn't being foolish to ask a question. It's the opposite. And I think your peers and your line manager will think more of you for making absolutely sure that you clarify what the situation is.
My line manager has got a lot on her plate, so I'm finding it hard to pin her down and get the feedback and reassurance I feel I need to improve my performance. I don't want to annoy her, but I feel like I'd benefit from more guidance from her. How do I go about getting her feedback without winding her up?
She's there to support you. That is her role. Her main role is to support her staff. And that's why she's been put in charge of you, because she's got the skills and the understanding to do exactly that. If you feel that you're not getting your fair share because you believe that she's so busy, it may not be true, but you believe that it is, then I would actually ask for a meeting with her and say, it seems to me that life is very hectic for you and I don't want to add to your woes, but I really do need for you to spend some time with me to explain what it is you need to understand. I think your manager would be pleased if you actually offered to help remove some of her load. If indeed she is overloaded, there may be things that you can take on, simple things that you can take on, which will help with her workload, but it would also make her feel far more amenable to sharing things with you in the future if she knows you're that sort of person that wants to help her and therefore help the business succeed. So choose your moment. Perhaps make a note of how many times you've asked for a meeting and it hasn't been forthcoming. Just open your arms to her and say, I want to help you. You seem very stressed. What can I do? It's got to be a two-way thing, this. And I think you might find when you're very stressed, you can then go to her and say, I'm really, really stressed. Can you help me? She'll probably remember that conversation and be very, very willing to put you at the top of her list.